So put me on, man, put me on. 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 Put me on, man, put me on. So put me on, man, put me on.
Say one fine, do it for the culture. Do it for the culture. Do it for the culture. Do it for the culture.
Hello and welcome to What's in the Box. My name is Kathleen Dean, and in this episode, we're featuring the Miami Fort Lauderdale 48-Hour Film Project. The 48-Hour Film Project is the oldest time film competition in the world. It's a whirlwind activity where filmmakers make a movie in 2 days. And we have two very special ladies joining us today who've competed in a couple of past competitions, Tabitha Mudra and Nikki Lopez. So stay tuned and enjoy the show.
My name is Tabitha Mudra, and I am a filmmaker, photographer living in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, in an artist community with this one.
I'm Nikki Lopez. I'm a multidisciplinary artist, social practitioner, and do a lot of creative stuff. And as she said, she outed me in the building of arts in Fort Lauderdale.
In your own words, what is the 48-Hour Film Project?
Depends on who you ask, but for me, it was an opportunity to explore, to play, to test leadership skills, to understand time management, and how creativity, or like the little genius, when you have ideas floating around the room and you just get all the right people in one room. By right, I mean all the excited, enthusiastic people around film, and making something in 48 hours from start to finish with no prior, well, in our case, no prior film experience whatsoever. So some would say we were very lucky to have a one-off and then a two-off. Yeah.
I would say the Miami Fort Lauderdale 48-Hour Film Challenge.
Film project.
You have 48 hours from when you pick your, the genre, the name. You have a couple things, and from there, from start to completion within 48 hours, you do the whole thing. And most of the people on our team, especially in the beginning, because we've had some change outs over the time, we were artists, activists, doing a lot of different things. And we said, hey, let's come together and have a weekend of creativity. And, none of us had film experience, and we said, hey, we're not expecting to win anything. We're just going to come together and do our magic, have some fun. If we get a community recognition, great. But we just wanted to see where it was, what we could do. For me, one of the things that I do is graphic design, and that's my background. And what came up for me, and I've always loved film, videos, artistic stuff, and sometimes I'm do stuff on my phone and things like that. I used to shoot many years ago. But I never imagined that I would have an opportunity to work on a film. So being a graphic designer and working on film, and normally with graphic design, you're thinking of print, flat, media, and seeing it in 3D, seeing it in a film, seeing it in a water bottle label, doing other things. So expanding what I do to a whole nother level and realm. And so it's really exciting.
Could you share what that's called in the film world?
Let's see, pre-visualization. They have a couple names for it. So we were like so new. We were just doing whatever had to be done, and then we're like, oh, what's the title? Let's look it up. So, but I think there is a beauty in that, because sometimes when you're trained in a certain way, you have that mindset of it has to go, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? And so we're just creatives who are just like, hey, we're going to jump around. I mean, one of our films, we had like so little time, and we were like, we don't love it. We have to love it. If we don't love it, we're chucking it and starting over again. That's pretty scary, but we were just like, that's how committed we are to not just, making something, but making something that we're proud of, something that's creative, something that had a message. Like all of our movies, all of our shorts, it had to have some type of message or impact. And that's because most of us are individually in our own right advocates and activists and community people doing art with messages. So we wanted to bring that to film.
So 2 days is not a lot of time to make a film. So you register, you found out about the project, you registered, then you had to pull together a team and organize that team to complete, the project in just 2 days. So what were your strategies in first recruiting a team and then getting through the 2 days and completing a film?
Well, I'll take on skeleton crew. I just looked up what is a skeleton crew, and then I said, oh, cool, let me call 5 people total and build a skeleton crew. And then from there, obviously, the next time I was like, ooh, we can do our resources, a lot of resources ahead of time. Meaning we could put certain actors on hold. We didn't know what we were getting. We didn't know if we needed female, male, etc. If we were getting horror or a period piece or action adventure, etc. So yeah, it was about just making sure your skeleton crew is there. Mm-hmm. And then of course, because the editing is so important, including the score and right down to your credits, you oftentimes forget, oh yeah, we should have some credits. These people worked so hard for approximately 48 hours. So you just have everyone needs to have a defined role and goal so that people aren't going all over the place and they know exactly who to ask. And I think it helped tremendously on set. And then we pre-plan all of our food. So that way food is done. And it's brain food, no pizzas, guys, no pizzas.
Yeah.
No pizza. That's usually the go-to for
we
filmmakers.
Had healthy. We had quinoa salad,
yeah.
And we had someone to do food, and we use our resources. Like we said, we're creatives, right? So we already had access to a lot of indie artists, performing artists that have original music. We was like, who has cameras? Who has this? Who has times? Hey, we need somebody to sweep, And then people brought things. So I remember the first one that we did, Souvenir, and one of the filmmakers that wasn't a part of our team brought his girlfriend at the time. And we were like, okay, we immediately said, well, we have this scene. Can you get in the ice water in your underwear?
In the
bathtub? She doesn't know anybody. Can you get in the bathtub in underwear and ice water? And she just jumped in, and then it was like, can you scream? And we were like, okay, that's the person.
We needed a scream queen, and we didn't have one.
Does ice water help the screaming?
No,
it shocks you.
No, it was for a shock value, and because we picked horror. The funny thing, the first one we did, we didn't pick it.
Okay, so
hold it.
All right, so tell me how the genre selection happens at the 48.
So we were praying to not get horror and country western.
We wanted film fatale. We were like, we can go 1,000 ways. Yeah, femme fatale. Sorry, and we could go any way we wanted with that. That gives us a lot of options, and then we pull horror. None of us
we
have
picked
done
exactly.
horror.
So when they talk about manifestation,
do not say what you don't want,
because that's what we pull, and we're like, oh man. And so we had to put together things, and we didn't have, we had a script, we didn't like it, so we were literally creating as we went along.
Okay, so you went to the kickoff event. Mm-hmm. You were unfortunate and selected one of your team members picked out of a hat the genre horror. So then what happened? Did they call back to the other team members? Were you all there at the kickoff?
I think the second
or-
time we did that. Do we do that
The first time, so we had core team there because that's all we had at the moment. So we were researching in the car. We were all deciding to stay together because we didn't know what the process was. And then, like she had said, we would write and then write and throw out. So 48 usually became a 24-hour project for us because our big weakness was writing. We didn't have a writer. We were good scenesters. We could create story with scenes, but dialogue, as you can, if you recall, it was a silent film, the first one. We were like, we're good at story, let's stick with that.
Well, and I think that's brilliant that you chose to avoid a lengthy movie filled with dialogue because you only have 48 hours. It's kind of difficult for actors to memorize, 10 pages of dialogue. Who came up with that story for your first film?
Ooh.
It
There's no
came
coming up.
Yeah, it came up while we were making it because
Yeah.
even we were like, what do we have access to? What can we get? What room? So we're in this art
We said
building.
we're shooting in one area. We're not
and
leaving.
that
That
exactly.
was a good, and
Yeah.
that was,
So
why
we
did you
used-
guys decide to do that?
To keep it, like there were so many other variables. So whatever we could kind of shave off time and be more efficient, we were like, okay, we have studios. If we have to go use my studio, sometimes people would come to my studio to change. We use the bathroom. We use this little corner. So we built it as we were filming it. And creating stuff, and then if we didn't like it, we went back to the drawing board and did things. And then because we did horror, and many of us were not afraid to be provocative and really kind of like get in your face with certain things. So then we was like, okay, what's the message that we were saying? So we started looking up different messages.
Well, statistics.
Statistics and things like
So
that.
if we could round something around a statistic that we could identify with, and I remember saying specifically, what is the number one fear women have? Like, what is the most horrific thing that can happen to us? And our most vulnerable area is. So we're like, maybe we can, with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, really, because nobody wants that to happen.
So we tell people that the tight deadline really fuels creativity. So you found that to be true.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Because you don't have, I think there are a lot of people out there that want to make a movie. I meet people all the time, I have a screenplay or I've got a great idea, but they just talk about it. They don't do it. So the 48-hour film project is a great opportunity to kind of get
And I
people
think
to
it works
do
with
it. Right?
creatives because, I don't know if you would agree or not, but like for me, we could have a to-do list, we could have paid clients and everything like that, and just like, oh man. But something that just strikes you like, ooh, this is creative. This is, I get to play and be provocative and whatever have you, and not being afraid to just like start over. Because we went in with the intentions of having fun. We went in with the intentions of, look, we're all artists, but none of us are film. So we're just gonna do the thing, have fun, have a great time, have a great weekend with friends. Our film team in particular, it was predominantly LGBT, women led, and people, even the guys, they said, hey, if you don't mind playing with women led, because that's a problem, a disparity in the film industry, right? So we're making a stance in everything, what we're producing in our internal team. So we are accepting of everyone, but they had to play along with those things. And also skill sharing. So afterwards, when we realized we wanted to do it again the next year, we started, and we just loved that camaraderie, and we would skill share sometimes, and like, let's learn film, let's do writing. We call them write-offs, and we'd gather and we'd pick a topic, and everyone had a certain time to write something, and then we all read it.
So when did you do that?
In between, like after the film,
After the challenge?
Yeah. After the challenge, because most people are like, oh my God, this is so exciting.
We were
'cause that's-
revved up.
Yeah, we were revved up.
We were like, we
'Cause we
can't
were like,
stop. Now we've got a
everybody-
name. We didn't have a name.
So,
Yeah.
We had
so
no
the
idea.
48-hour film
Yeah.
project inspired you guys
It
to
beyond.
learn more about film.
It launched.
Absolutely.
It
It
launched
launched everything.
Yes.
So oddly, after that, I got picked up to produce a children's show. for PBS.
After
After Souvenir,
making a
after
horror
a
film.
film, which
That's-
they said
that
we
says a lot about
love.
PBS.
Like, we love it, and do you think you could produce this, this kids show? I was like, yeah, why not? And then so be it.
And I
It
think
kept
also
happening. Oh, I want to say that also it was really important for the female-led thing is that we told female stories from the female lens. Because we, as females, get a little bit tired of watching a story where we're like, how are we feeling disconnected from our own gender? So we really had to feel connected, and I think you shared that earlier, but it was about being female.
So I love that. So and that's something that I think the general public needs to know, that this is definitely an opportunity for people to tell a story from their lens, whatever that may be, and to share it with the community. And we definitely need more original stories out there.
and to not follow the tropes, right? Because like you said, we have this horror film that some people, like when we play it places, the entire room is silent. Now they get the message, so if they could, get to the end, they're like, wow, because the message like really ties it in. But PBS sees this horror thing and says, hey, can you do the children's movie, right? So sometimes as creatives, or when we're looking for a way, we're trying to fit into what we feel society or producer wants. But I feel that it reinforces to do our own thing, to not be afraid, to be unapologetic. We were unapologetically female. We are unapologetically like we're taking the lead. Some people, some other filmmakers were kind of taught that.
And you were unapologetically, we're going to tell the story that we want to tell.
Exactly.
We're not trying to entice the judges or looking to see what else has won. We're just going to tell the story that we are led to tell.
We didn't have a history in it, and I believe it was just a friend from the building had tagged my name in, I think, your post. And I was like, oh, that sounds like fun. Let's
And
do it.
if I'm correct, you did it to celebrate your birthday?
Well, that was kind of how I roped him in. You know that obligatory, hey, it's my birthday bit? I was like, do you want to just spend 48 hours versus just a couple and have some cake? And and then, something really magical was born. It wasn't that it was without stresses. It had its stresses. It's how we dealt with them. That was really important. It was preparing all the little things that we could. You don't want to, it's just such a bummer if you've missed out on, you're going to eat. I underline the food thing so much because you guys, you're going to eat. You're going to get so hungry.
And is that what attracted people? The food?
No, but it does. It does.
Well, there's
because we have good food.
Yeah, we had good food, and and everyone's voice matters, right? So when we had some people, because everyone had a role, like there's people who had roles, and there's people, if you want to volunteer, if someone was sweeping the floor and there was a shot being filmed, and they're like, you know what about this? We're like, okay. And which other filmmakers and actors, when they kind of found out, or some of them played with us, they're like, oh my God, we want to play with you guys, because like in other teams, it's this thing of like this hierarchy, like the filmmakers call the shots of this, the story writer, but we listen to everyone.
Did you have a process for doing that? Because I know it can get very chaotic on a set if everyone's trying to direct the talent, and it can be very frustrating for the talent. So what was your process for channeling ideas from everyone?
Sure. There's an established role and goals. So if it has something to do with the art department, they're going to go to Nikki and say, okay, this is my idea. Then we'll all, if it's something that we really can get to, then we'll discuss it at an appropriate time, in between shots, because you're in a role. So the momentum's already there, but there are people in each, even though it's small, each department head can answer those questions fast. So, but people really need to know what their roles are, and you're going to wear 8 hats typically.
That was, what? I remember Tabitha giving a prep talk the first time and saying,
No matter
what happens, guys, remember, this is, like, we came to play. We had a good time. Hopefully we could get a community award, because that's one of the things, like, which, the audience award.
Because I knew we were nominated for something, and I was like, so we might have gotten a community award or something.
This has been so awesome. We've covered like so many important themes, from, you know, empowering women in the film industry to bonding and creativity and equal pay.
Yes.
To wrap up, why should people participate in the 48-hour film project?
You want to go first?
Well, you say it's provocative. I say it's sort of like an orgy of creativity. It really is getting your friends and or people who you've always wanted to work with together in a space where it's absolute play, but it's pressurized play. And everyone knows that, and there's something way too exciting that you have to be involved in it.
What's that thing that comes from pressure? Oh, diamonds. Yeah.
And so, yeah, you get to dust off anything that you've been thinking about. You get to incorporate all these things that you didn't even realize you knew, and play with all of your own strengths, and then enhance your weaknesses. So, not enhance them, but
work on them.
Diminish them.
Yeah. So I think people should participate in the 48 hours because it's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to see what's possible with your skill set. I do believe no matter what you do, doing something, being exposed to something else only layers in what you do to another level. And it makes you unique from everyone who's doing that same thing, to be able to bring in other sources. I think it's important to, when we talk about the normal tropes that are in films and the problems that's in the film industries and the problems of, I don't see my story, I don't see me on camera. You know, the only way that's going to change is if you create that. So when you see, I'm not on film, I don't see a queer person, I don't see a person of color, I don't see, mixed abilities person, be that. Find that, write that, score that, film that, edit that, and then like in Florida, film incentives are gone from Florida, people not doing that. So I think it was very important, especially like in Florida, for people to show there's still people making movies and film and being creative with film in Florida. So representation is a big thing. And so the more that we produce, the more that it becomes important, like more visible to the powers that be to say, like, maybe let's rethink those things. But I think it's an opportunity to get your voice out there and to have a message. And even if you don't have a message, to play. So I think that's something that's really important.
Thank you so much for joining us for tonight's program. We can't do the work we do without your support. The YMCA is a not-for-profit organization, and we would appreciate your donations to help support the work we plan to do in arts education, film, and other programs as they relate to the Victory Black Box Theater. Please visit our website, ymcasouthflorida.org, for more information on future shows. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Victory BBT YMCA.